scholars, welcome back. Today is day 3 of Journey's lesson 21, Tuckett's Travels. Let's go ahead and get started. In grammar, we've been studying the verbs be and have. Right now, I want you to take what you've learned from studying these verbs and identify the verb phrase in each of these sentences. Go ahead and pause the video, and when you are done, come on back. For vocabulary strategy, we've been focusing on shades of meaning. I want you to use context to determine the meaning of each underlined word. So what you're going to do is pause the video, you're going to read these sentences, use the context clues around the underlined word to help you figure out what that underlined word means. When you're done, come on back and we'll keep moving. Our target skill for today is sequence of events. Sequence is the order of events in a story. Some keywords that help us figure out the sequence of events are first, next, then, finally, last, before, after, beginning, middle, and end. You should use a graphic organizer to record events from the selection and analyze how the scenes fit together to provide overall structure. So using a graphic organizer like the one I posted here is really helpful so that we can identify the important parts of the story in the beginning, middle, and end. This way we can really understand what happens throughout the entire story. We're going to get started on our second read today. So everybody please turn to page 634. All right. As a reminder, the genre is listed on page 634. What is the genre of this passage? Exactly, historical fiction. And we know historical fiction is a story that's set in the past. It contains characters, places, and events that actually existed or happened, or that could have existed or happened. As you read, look for a setting that was a real time and place in the past, and details that show the story took place in the past. Turn your attention to page 635. Look at the essential question on the bottom of page 635. What does it mean to have good instincts? That's the question we need to keep in our mind while we are reading today for our second read. What are instincts, scholars? Go ahead and pause the video and have a discussion about what instincts are or what you think they are. And why is it important to have good instincts? Go ahead and pause the video, and when you're done, come on back. All right, let's go ahead and get started on our second read. Everyone turn the page, please, to page 636. 636. All right, let's go ahead and get started. If there was one thing that Francis Tuckett knew with certainty, it was that death was close to taking them. Dawn was coming, and here he was, a 15-year-old boy in charge of 2 children, walking across a sun-beaten, airless plain that seemed to be endless. Francis, Lottie, and Billy had no food or water, or any immediate hope of getting any. And at any moment, a dozen or 2 of the dirt meanest men Francis had ever seen in a world full of mean men could come riding up on them, and he didn't finish the thought. There was no need. Besides, in surviving Indian fights, blizzards, battles, and thieves, he had learned the primary rule about danger. It would come if it would come. You could try and be ready for it. You could plan on it. You could even expect it, but it would come when it wanted to come. Lottie and Billy understood this rule too. He had found them sitting in a wagon on the prairie all alone. Their father had died of cholera, and their wagon train had abandoned the family, afraid of disease. Lottie had been 9 then, Billy 6. Francis hadn't thought he and the children would stay together long. After all, he had to keep searching for his own family. He'd been separated from them a year before, when Pawnees had kidnapped him from the wagon train on the Oregon Trail. But Francis and Lottie and Billy, well, they were used to each other. They stuck together. unlike Francis and Jason Grimes, the one-armed mountain man. Jason Grimes had rescued Francis from the Pawnees and taught him how to survive in the West on his own. Then they'd parted ways. Until last night. Last night, when Grimes had helped them to escape the Comancheros. The Comancheros were an outlaw band, ruthless, terrifying, inhumanely tough. To escape, Grimes had had to take the pack horses Francis, Lottie, and Billy had been riding and lead them off empty, hoping the Comancheros would follow his tracks westward, while the three children headed north on foot in the dark of night. Turn to page 637. It was a decent plan. It was their only plan, and it seemed to be working. As Francis and the two children had moved north in the dark, they had seen the Comancheros ride past them after Mr. Grimes, tracking the horses. The Comancheros had missed the footprints of the children, partly because it was hard to see them, and partly because Francis made Lottie and Billy walk in each other's footprints. He came last, brushing out the trail with a piece of mesquite behind him. But luck was the major factor in the plan. If the Comancheros caught Grimes or even got within sight of him, they'd know that Francis and the children weren't with him. They'd turn and come back for the children. Children meant real money because they could be sold or traded into slavery. Francis knew that brushing out the tracks would only work in the pitch dark of night. In daylight, the brush marks themselves would be easy to follow. All right, scholars, you are going to continue to read the story, and when you are done, I want you to answer day 3 independent questions. Day 3 independent questions. You are going to answer these questions in complete sentences and make sure that you cite text evidence in your responses. You can answer these questions in your reading notebook or on a Google document and submit it to your Google Classroom. If you finish reading and answering the independent questions before time is up, go ahead and do Reader's Notebook page 308 and Close Reader pages 92 and 93. While you are reading, please remember to look for keywords that will help you identify the sequence of events, and I want you to look for the vivid words that the author uses that help you have a picture of in your mind of the setting, the characters, and the actions that are going on throughout the story. All right, time to get to work. I'll see you tomorrow for day 4. Bye.